The first day at a new school is never easy, but for Emily, it felt like stepping into a lion's den. She clutched her backpack straps tightly as she walked through the gates of Ridgeway High, feeling every set of unfamiliar eyes on her. Whispers followed her like shadows, and she could tell the other students were sizing her up. Emily had moved here from a small town after her father's job transfer, and she knew no one. But she promised herself she'd keep her head down, get through the day, and not make waves. She had no idea how quickly the promise would be shattered. During lunch break, Emily sat quietly under a tree, nibbling her sandwich while reading a worn-out book she'd carried since middle school. That's when the laughter started. 3 girls, led by the school's self-proclaimed queen bee, Tara, sauntered over. Tara's platinum hair and designer clothes screamed power, and the smirk on her face told Emily she was about to be the next entertainment. Without warning, one of the other girls grabbed Emily's book and tossed it into the mud. Emily stood, panic in her eyes, but before she could retrieve it, Tara nodded toward the maintenance shed where a hose was lying on the ground. The girl snatched it up, turned the valve, and a blast of freezing water hit Emily square in the chest. Gasps and laughter echoed through the schoolyard. The water drenched her hair, soaked her clothes, and made her sneakers squish with every step she tried to take. Kids gathered around, some recording on their phones. Tara shouted, "Welcome to Ridgeway, farm girl." The humiliation burned deeper than the cold water. Emily's heart pounded in her ears, and tears threatened to spill, but she refused to let them win. She turned and walked away silently, ignoring the jeers, but deep inside, something fierce began to stir. That night, Emily sat at the kitchen table in silence. Her mother noticed her wet hair when she came home but said nothing, knowing Emily would speak when ready. Finally, Emily looked up and said, "Mom, I don't think I can go back." Her mom placed a hand over hers and replied softly, "The world will always have bullies. But remember, strength isn't in avoiding them, it's in showing them they picked the wrong person." Emily didn't respond, but those words planted a seed. The next day at school, Emily kept her distance, but she was observing, watching Tara and her friends closely. She learned their patterns, where they hung out, who followed them, and even which teachers they avoided. The more she saw, the more she realized their cruelty was a shield for something else, fear of losing control. And Emily decided she was going to take that control from them. 3 days later, opportunity came knocking. During PE, Tara and her friends were lounging near the school gym while the rest of the class ran laps. Emily noticed the same maintenance hose from before, coiled neatly by the fence. Her heart pounded at the thought of payback. The timid part of her W. The classroom fell silent. For a moment, you could hear nothing but the faint hum of the ceiling fan and the pounding of her heart. It had happened so fast. 1 second, the new girl was walking towards her desk, clutching her books close to her chest. The next, a cruel hand had yanked her skirt to the floor. Gasps erupted across the room. Some kids laughed, some stared in shock, but everyone knew one thing: this was no harmless prank. This was humiliation at its worst. Her name was Emily Carter, a quiet, soft-spoken 17-year-old who had transferred from another city just 2 weeks ago. She wasn't the type to draw attention, always sitting in the corner, avoiding eye contact, and eating lunch alone. Her father's new job had uprooted her from her old school, her friends, and everything familiar. She had hoped this new start would mean a fresh chapter. Instead, it felt like she had landed in the middle of a storm she couldn't control. The bullies were a group of 3 girls led by Vanessa, tall, pretty, and feared by almost everyone in school. Vanessa had decided from day one that Emily was an easy target. She didn't talk back. She didn't fight back. And in the twisted logic of high school power games, that made her fun. But what Vanessa and her friends didn't know was that Emily had spent years learning self-defense. Her mother, a martial arts instructor, had always told her, "You can be gentle and kind, but never let someone strip you of your dignity." Emily had kept that lesson buried deep, until today. As the laughter echoed, Emily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She calmly bent down, pulled her skirt back up, and fastened it. Her eyes lifted, meeting Vanessa's with a steady, unblinking gaze. Something in that look made the laughter falter. Emily stepped forward, her voice calm but cutting through the air. "Do you think that made you powerful? Because all I see is someone desperate for attention." The room went even quieter. Vanessa smirked, but her friends shifted uncomfortably. Emily didn't stop there. She took another step forward, her posture tall, her shoulders squared. "Try it again," she said, her tone ice cold. "Just once more." Vanessa hesitated, something she never did. But the tension in the air was thick. Emily's stance wasn't just confident, it was controlled, like she knew exactly what she was capable of. And she did. When Vanessa finally reached out to shove her, Emily moved with lightning speed. She caught Vanessa's wrist, twisted it gently but firmly, and stepped aside, sending her stumbling off balance. It wasn't violent. It wasn't cruel. It was precise, a quiet demonstration that she was not someone to be toyed with. The classroom erupted in whispers. No one had ever stood up to Vanessa like that. The teacher, who had been late to class, walked in right at that moment and saw Vanessa red-faced and trembling. When Emily explained what had happened, several students backed her up. For once, the truth was